Zach, we know that some members of MPD have started to converge on the bridge right now. Tell us what you are seeing.
Yeah, well, it certainly just escalated here, at least from a police presence standpoint. If you look past the MPD officers who have been here all night long, state police just showed up, and they are in what you would consider more of a riot gear type of uniform. They have face shields, helmets on, as well as some long sticks. No word on whether or not they plan to use those. It could just be an intimidation tactic to try and move some of these protesters back. And you can actually see, let's turn here now to the exit ramp of this bridge. We are hearing some protesters say no justice, no peace as they walk away. But the key emphasis there, they are walking away. Director Rawlings, you saw just a few minutes ago, the last time I came to you, came up here and said, please leave, please come with me. We'll meet you tomorrow at 4 p.m. And some of them looked in his face and just said, no, we're going to be out here all night. So clearly, that was one of his last pleas, to try and have this end at least peacefully. This could be an intimidation tactic. This could be the real deal. But state police coming here for backup, certainly the numbers in the last 5 minutes have just shifted towards law enforcement. And protesters, you can see, are getting a little more skittish. They are no longer here toe-to-toe. And the riot gear is out for the Tennessee State Police, as they have long sticks, helmets, face masks, and protesters are slowly starting to dribble out down this exit ramp. One more look as they are illuminated, and it looks like, here, let's walk down this way. We see some more, I think, as Greg Corey just showed you from the base of the bridge, some more police coming up in full riot gear. They have shields, they have helmets, they have Kevlar vests. So it is, and they have also plastic handcuffs in order to arrest people. So people are going to be, it appears, people are going to be arrested pretty soon if they don't leave this bridge. We're going to be out here. Obviously don't want to get caught in the middle of anything like we've seen in other states with pepper spray, with tear gas, but police are quickly showing their force and trying to disband this. They've given the protesters hours to leave peacefully, and we're seeing some now put their hands up. This is the scene unfolding. They're carrying some weapons that are actually canister shooting. So that is the weapon in his hand. Let's keep walking. Is what they would fire potentially tear gas at these protesters with. So we have gotten to the tipping point, ladies and gentlemen, and hands are up here. Some have certain fingers raised, so we're not going to pan over there. That is not going to do anything but escalate the situation. But they've called in the reinforcements, and the numbers are now very clearly in law enforcement's favor. So they look poised to make a move here. And we are going to see what the protesters are going to do.
Zach, I have a question for you.
Marius.
Is Interim Director Rawlings still on the scene there?
Yes, I've not seen him leave. I can't. Yes, I see him right now. Let's see if we can get a shot of him. He's right back here. He's above the Memphis police squad car here. He is still on scene, looking over his officers. You see a few people here with their hands up. A few people with their signs still up, but we do not know how this is going to go. Certainly police trying to scare the citizens away as we see state police begin to attach the line as well. It looks like someone's about to get on a police squad car loudspeaker. So an announcement's going to be made. Let's listen in. I believe Director Rawlings is going to make this announcement. I will let you know when he starts talking.
Once again, I want to let people know that Mayor Rawlings has been all over the city today, trying to calm the nerves, talking to the leaders of this march, leaders of this movement, trying to let them know that he understands what's going on, that he believes that there needs to be change, but they have to do it the right way. He says he understands what's going on, but he also has a job as a director of the police department. Yes, go ahead, Zach.
Let me cut you off. They're beginning to speak. Disperse immediately is what was just said. You can see officers here getting their plastic zip tie handcuffs, for lack of a better word, ready. And they, I believe, are just going to start marching forward. You can see the riot gear here. We need to back up here, we're being told by police. We are going to move. Follow with us. I'm going to grab this tripod here. I'll get it, Kevin. Kevin, the photographer, I got it. Thank you, sir. Has been a valiant accompanying presence out here.
We're not being unruly. We're not being unruly. They're calling us unruly.
Some protesters out here, you can see they're quickly backing up, though, because they know what's at stake.
We're not being violent.
Right now, we're just going to let you kind of take in the sights and sounds as state police are here with their wooden sticks. SWAT police, it appears. Unruly crowd. This is an illegal assembly. Disperse immediately. That is what we just heard here on the loudspeakers. And this is the face-off that we thought we might see earlier. Here's Director Rawlings. You see him right there beginning to slowly walk his officers down this bridge. As in the background, hundreds of Arkansas, at least in Arkansas and across the state line there, they watch as they have for hours. Some people aren't moving right now. And this is the culmination of a very long night. Some people seem very ready to be arrested. And looks like here, let me pan to the right real quick, we have a Blue Crush van coming up. That is a mass arrest van, as Chloe mentioned earlier tonight. If people don't disperse, that is likely what they are going to be put in. Based on what we are hearing out here, we're going to try and slide around this real quick. We hear some protesters say, grab somebody's hand. They are beginning to walk away. Obviously, Director Rawlings, the last thing he wants to see right now is this turn violent at the last minute. It's been peaceful for so long. I'm going to let you just watch in for a second.
Hands up, don't shoot.
We're continuing to hear the loudspeaker. This is an illegal assembly. Disperse immediately. Here we got Frank Gotti. He was one of the organizers. We talked to him earlier. Let's show you the police presence again. It took a while for reinforcements to get here, but at this point, the numbers are certainly in law enforcement's favor as they open up the Blue Crush van to potentially prepare for some arrests. People are yelling, hands up, don't shoot. I do not see any guns drawn, just wooden sticks right now. Protesters slowly retreating here with their hands up. We're going to move with them. Oh, riot gear. It's escalating. We're going to move quickly. Looks like some people are trying to intentionally get arrested here. One officer in riot gear was aggressively moving. A lot of yelling. They have towed the line again here. There's a number of media as well. We're going to flick on our light to give you a better idea of what is happening. Director Rawlings in the center of it all. There's a lot of yelling going on from the protesters. Some of them hurling insults and yelling at the officers right now. I just heard Director Rawlings say, everybody stay cool. The police in riot gear are yelling, move. You can hear them now. I'm just going to let you take this in. Some people are intentionally not moving quick enough. They are being shoved pretty aggressively. I don't know if you can make out this guy with the white sign. He's being shoved. We're going to continue to move back here. Now people are getting in. They're getting in their face. They're pointing at the officers, shoving fingers. It looks like one of the protesters is trying to push people. Hey, Kevin, can you make your way up here? Let's try and get a shot of one protester is saying, hey, guys, it's not worth it. Let's turn around. These police officers in riot gear are moving this crowd methodically back. We're hearing them get instructions from their commander on scene. Protesters yelling, "Give us our justice." This police officer here has pepper spray in his left hand, looks very ready to use it, as the police officers in riot gear are slowly moving this crowd back. One man right here, he's saying, "I'm with you," but he's trying to move these people back peacefully. They have made multiple moves back, and then they'll rush forward right into the riot shields. It is very tense out here, as I'm sure you are seeing on TV as we see the first semi-trucks move. And boy, are they probably relieved. Maybe the only person or people happy right now are those drivers. Here, the protesters and the police. No one is smiling right now. It is incredibly tense out here. The police helicopter continues to circle over scene, and they said, "Ready, move," and they are moving this way. They are fully shielded. You can see their feet. I just heard the commander say, "Move," and then he said, "Calm, be calm, guys." He does not want them to be provoked. We see the pepper spray in that hand. You can see it right there. There is no longer a little safety on that. They're ready to use it. Some people, I just saw a protester with a gas mask. Police are trying to get in unison here. Protesters are yelling, "Hold the line." They want to move back slowly, but at this point they're not trying to just turn around and walk away. This is somewhat symbolic, but if they try and hold their ground too much longer, someone is going to get pepper sprayed. Again, this is live TV, folks. People are using some words that we apologize for, but we want to bring you these sights and sounds and images. So I'm just going to let you hear what's happening for a little bit. Marius, Chloe, do you guys have any questions? Do you still have me?
Very tense situation going on the bridge right now. We know that Interim Police Director Mike Rollins is behind that line of officers as the officers are trying to get those protesters to get off of the bridge. It looks like they're going off it's a ramp that leads to the bridge. They're trying to get them off. Yeah. We see that 18-wheelers some of the traffic has already started to move through, as we can see in the background, but it's still a very tense situation out there. Zach Crenshaw is telling us what's going on. It looks like the police are stepping forward right now.
Okay, the left box that you're looking at there, the left picture, that's officers at the bottom of the bridge lined up, okay? So what we have, officers on the bridge, full SWAT gear, trying to push the protesters down off of the bridge, and there are officers at the bottom of the bridge waiting for those people. You know, they're trying to take it as calmly and as slowly as they can, because they do not want to incite any kind of any kind of violence or anything like that. That being said, we have seen at least one officer with pepper spray. We know that they are inching their way forward, trying to push those people back. We have heard, as Zach said, I've heard at least one protester say, it's not worth it, guys, turn around. That doesn't seem to be happening. That is not resonating with this crowd so far, because they're still there, pressing their luck, if you will. And so we have these officers lined up. It's the largest show of force that we've seen all night on that bridge, because we now have Arkansas involved as well, Arkansas law enforcement and MPD, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. We have all of them there on that bridge. So as we have heard, law enforcement was letting them peacefully protest, but now it's time to go, and that's what they're saying.
And we've heard from city leaders. We've heard from Berlin Boyd talk about the peacefulness of this protest. We've heard Reverend Keith Norman saying, hey, don't get the message lost in the violence. They've been preaching that all night long. MPD has done a great job of just the way they've handled it. We haven't heard of any arrests tonight. We haven't seen any acts of violence at all. And MPD wants to go out of their way to make sure that this doesn't happen here. And once again, we have a very tense situation on the M Bridge as police are trying to get some protesters off of that bridge right now. You see a man on the right side of your screen. In his left hand, he has some pepper spray, and it looks like he is ready to spray it. Behind him, you see police in tactical gear. They are ready to do what they need to do to get that bridge cleared off. You also see that man in the middle of your screen, Joseph Kiles from the Rainbow Push Coalition. He is trying to kind of mediate between both sides. He's the guy that's telling these protesters, hey, it's not worth it. Let's do this the right way. We've gotten our point across. It's time now to get off the bridge, let the police do their job, and we're going to come back and meet tomorrow with the interim police director, and we're going to talk about the issues that we have in our city right now.
Right. He's the son, of Reverend Kiles, and he is trying to, just like police are, and some members of this protest, trying to diffuse the situation, saying, yes, we will meet. This is not over. We've made a point here. We have been heard loud and clear in the city of Memphis, and the issues will be addressed. But let's go. Let's end this. This has been going on for, we're going on what?
About 5 hours.
5 hours now. And so it's time for people to go. These are the last ones, sort of, the last man standing, for lack of a better term. And now you see they're grabbing each other's hands and forming a line. So these protesters are holding hands and forming a line, in my opinion, taking a stand, saying we're not going.
But it looks like they may be walking towards the bottom of the bridge.
Right.
And speaking about the bottom of the bridge, that's where we find our Kristen Lee, who is at the bottom of the M Bridge right now. Kristen, what's going on down there?
Well, Marius, we followed protesters from the FedEx Forum to this location on Riverside Drive near the Bass Pro Pyramid, and they were met by officers wearing tactical gear. That's what photojournalist Sean Jones is showing you right now. Now, after meeting officers here, the crowd largely dispersed. They turned around after expressing some disapproval of the way that Memphis police are coming up to them, approaching them in tactical gear. But many of them are headed back up toward Front Street, and then it looks like they are going to head back toward the direction of the bridge. But for the most part, they have dispersed from this area after meeting the tactical team out here on Riverside Drive.
Kristen, thank you. I want to get back to Zach Crenshaw, who's on that bridge. Zach, what's going on? Are the protesters backing up now?
Finally moving back. A few leaders of the group said it's not worth it. We've made our point. Let's move back. Clearly, the threat of arrest was there, as every one of these police officers has zip ties. They're slowly moving back, but now they've stopped again. So you have a few defiant protesters who do not want to leave at all. The mass of them, though, do not want to get pepper sprayed, as we see multiple officers with pepper spray in their hands, and these riot gear police who look like they should not be trifled with. They are going to continue moving this line forward. And, I heard you mention earlier, Chloe, giving the police some credit. There have been no arrests here. There could easily have been arrests. They have the numbers right now, given what's left of this crowd. Now, granted, it would have gotten violent. People would have been injured. But police could have easily just, pushed this crowd much more aggressively than they did. But they've chosen to move slowly. You can see traffic is slowly moving behind them. A lot of police cars, though, still there. But here, let's pan to the right real quick. Look at all the police cars making their way towards the Arkansas state line. That is Tennessee State Police you see there. And I have lost count of the number of police cars that are going past us right now. I would say at least 24 as protesters continue to move back, as riot police, Memphis police, state police continue to move this crowd back slowly but surely. Now, another interesting thing I want to mention, and I know we have crews spread out all over this city right now. We saw some protesters from the bridge. Looks like they were coming from the FedEx Forum. We got word that protesters are making their way this direction, and the protesters have heard that. They said, let's go rejoin the rest of the group. There's maybe 100 as we pan around now to the protesters' side and show you what's left of them and how they are moving. But it looks like this is slowly resolving itself. One of the leaders here, Frank Gotti. If we could flick on a light here and maybe show Frank. Hey, Frank. No one's been arrested on this bridge and no one's been injured. How are you feeling about what happened here?
We had a well turnout. We had a good turnout. The officers, they got a little rowdy with us.
Back. They're starting to encroach on us.
Yeah, they kind of got a little rowdy with us, but they got them under control now, so we gonna leave the bridge as they say.
Do you think your message was heard tonight?
Yes, sir. I really think it was.
Are you happy to see this end peacefully?
Yes, sir. I'm glad that nobody get hurt, nothing didn't get tore up. I'm just glad everything came out peaceful.
And as we were moving back, you can see a lot of progress is being made here by the police. They're going to continue moving this direction at a much faster pace now. Protesters chanting, "Our streets." Whose streets? Our streets, they're yelling.
I want y'all to film us. We finna shake their hand.
Okay. Some of the Black Lives Matter protesters say they want to shake their hands. So they said we'll do it at the end. This is one of the men responsible. Do you mind if I ask you, sir, obviously, you played a big role in helping push this.
These young people are looking for a voice. They're trying to make sure they're heard. They just want an opportunity. We just want to make sure that it's calm and it's peaceful. I love everybody on both sides of this line. I want to make sure it's calm and it's peaceful.
Mr. Kyle, you've obviously had a prominent role. You mentioned you love both people on both sides. Do you think the message was heard? And do you think this was a successful night for the Black Lives Matter movement?
I didn't have a prominent role. I was with my children. I was with my wife. I was relaxing at home. I saw these kids working. I wanted to make sure that they were safe. And I wanted to make sure my friends on the other side who are officers are safe. We can get down and have a conversation about things that matter to this community that will be beneficial to everybody if we just come with rational thinking minds. They are frustrated. They are afraid. They are scared. And they said they're tired. So let's listen to them. Let's put some action behind it. Let's let the administration know that we need jobs, that we need fairness, we need our fair share of contracts, that we need these people to work. That's what we need.
What do you think of the response from Memphis police? Obviously,
the director has done a wonderful job, and I never call him interim because he is the director, and tonight shows that we don't need to waste one more cent. Hire the man, put him in the thing. We don't need a search committee. Nobody else could have done what he did tonight.
Mr. Kyle, thank you for your time, sir. Protesters still having their voices heard right now, but beginning to walk away after a very long standoff protest on the bridge, which shut down traffic for hours. Chloe and Marius, tensions were incredibly high towards the end there as police with riot gear made their way towards the protesters. That's still happening now, but there is movement in the direction off the exit ramp towards downtown Memphis. This thing getting resolved right now. I'm going to send it back
Zach,
to you guys in the studio,
Zach,
and
thank you
we'll
so
continue
much.
to monitor the situation.
Thank you so much, Zach. A very tense situation on the bridge. It looks like that seems to be coming to an end as those protesters are now exiting the I-40 bridge and going back into downtown Memphis. We have seen a lot of leaders in the black community come out and help this situation get resolved. We've seen Joseph Kiles come out, the nephew of the late Samuel Billy Kiles. We've seen Reverend Keith Norman. We've seen Berlin Boyd. We've seen State Representative Antonio Parkinson. These leaders in the black community have come out to say, I hear you, and we're going to try to make a change.
Absolutely. And the resounding message with all of these leaders who have come out tonight, you know, you all have the right to protest and you have made your voices heard, and we get it. We understand that changes need to be made, but they are telling these protesters, and they seem to be listening, the ones who were holding out, you know what, we've got it, we've made our point. Now let's go. Let's go. It's not worth it, and that does seem to be working.
Well, let's get you back out to Greg Coy. Greg has been following this story from the bottom of that bridge. Greg, what can you tell us right now?
This is what I've learned since the last time I spoke to you. I just got a text message from the mayor's office. I'm told the decision to open up that bridge, I-40 bridge, was an effort basically to get the vehicles that have been stuck on the bridge now to get them off the bridge. I also asked who made the decision to make this move, and I was told that it was the Memphis Police Department in conjunction with the Tennessee Highway Patrol, and I was also told that the objective here is to try and get people off the bridge peacefully. As you can see, traffic is moving on the bridge now, so apparently they have achieved their objective, at least for what I'm being told at the mayor's office. It was fascinating to watch on our live stream on my phone app. Yes, Marius and Chloe, you were pointing out Joseph Kiles, the nephew of the late Billy Kiles, a civil rights leader, talking to millennials, and the officer, the commander, the major who was there is a friend of his, and as they were both trying to negotiate some type of peaceful resolve. Just a few seconds ago, I saw a police commander's car go inside City Hall. So clearly the mayor's office is not only watching it through whatever means he is using, but he's also getting reports from his aides on the ground, as I saw a car just drive into the basement of City Hall. So he's clearly up to date. Again, this was a call made by the Memphis Police Interim Director Mike Rawlings in conjunction with the Tennessee Highway Patrol. I heard on our broadcast Reverend Keith Norman saying they ought to end the search and name Rawlings the new permanent director because of the way that he's been able to handle this situation. The mayor's office concurs in part, saying that he has done a wonderful job. We'll continue to monitor this situation here, and we'll break in if there's any future developments. Reporting live on the bridge here above Front Street, I'm Greg Coy, Fox 13 News. Folks, back over to you.
Greg, I got one question to ask. You said the mayor's office made that, well, the Memphis Police Department made that decision to clear the bridge along with Tennessee Highway Patrol. I don't know if you had a shot of what was going on the other side of the bridge, but we saw members of the Arkansas State Police, and they were already in tactical gear as members of MPD were. They were not at the onset of this. Do you know if MPD had any communication with Arkansas State Police as this was going on?
Those are some of the phone calls I've been trying to make to the Arkansas State Police to see what type of communication was going back and forth across state lines. Probably they were in contact with the Tennessee Highway Patrol, who was in contact with the Memphis Police Department. But again, as we're looking at live pictures, here's Ron Guidry. If he can pan, you can see the remaining protesters start to walk off the bridges. They're just about to pass the Bass Pro Shops, and soon will be on the street. The bridge, as you can see, is starting to open. If Ron pans over to his left, you'll see the big rigs are starting to pass over. So this situation developing, but ending, or at least starting to develop peacefully, and that is what everyone has wanted this evening. Chloe and Marius.
Greg, thank you so much. I just want to point out what you're seeing here live. Okay, so this is obviously the quickest we've seen police around the bridge move. I mean, they're actually walking now. They're at a full walk. Before it was kind of just pushing these protesters back a few steps at a time. Obviously, they're now just walking full out. So we do believe that it's completely coming to an end in a peaceful way. It was tense there for a little bit, though. I mean, Zach Crenshaw, right in the middle of it, live out there in the middle of it, and you could feel the tension here in the studio. You could feel it. You have some protesters saying, we're not going to go. We are not going to get off this bridge. And then you have law enforcement saying, it is time to go. We've given you all ample time to make your point. Now let's go before we start arresting people. And they were ready to do that.
Yes, they were. We have seen a major incident here in the city of Memphis, and we saw how interim director Mike Rawlings handled that situation. He got kudos from Joseph Kiles, saying he should be hired right now, tomorrow, in the search for your police director. And there's a shot of him right there coming down that bridge.
Let's go to Zach if we could. Zach, is there any way you can grab interim director Mike Rawlings and talk to him, please? Can you grab him, Zach?
Yeah, we're on the same page here. I'm gonna try and grab him now, Chloe.
All right, thanks.
Hey, Director Rawlings. I know you're super busy, but can I just ask you? Obviously, this ended peacefully. We didn't see that in other cities. How do you feel right now?
I'm proud of Memphis, and I'm proud of my men and women. I'm proud of the Sheriff Department. I'm proud of the Tennessee Highway Patrol. We have the type of relationship in Memphis, in Shelby County, where we work together as a team. We will continue to do that.
There you heard it. Director Rawlings, proud of his guys who did a great job. Let me just show you some of the gear here. This is what we saw in other cities that people had used on them, that police were prepared to use, but none of that was necessary here. We don't pick sides in the media, obviously, but a great job by police in making sure that no one was injured. This could have gone differently, certainly, if police had decided to escalate things or if protesters had. So credit to both sides. You see Director Rawlings here. He's going to talk to some of these other police officers. Traffic finally flowing on the bridge again. This was a multi-department effort. The Sheriff's Office, the Memphis Police Department, State Police, all of them out here to put this thing to rest. And that is what has just happened on the bridge. Police continuing to move them off city streets here towards downtown Memphis. But ultimately, their mission was accomplished in getting the protesters off the bridge peacefully, being the key word there. Chloe, Marius.
Zach Crenshaw, thank you for reporting live from the I-40 bridge in very tense situations. Now it's time to get it back out to Greg Coy. Greg Coy has a shot of where these protesters are headed right now. Greg?
Well, Marius, Chloe, you're looking at live pictures right now of the protesters, the last remaining ones that were on the bridge that have been talked down peacefully by the Memphis Police Department. They're doing something perhaps that the police had not intended them to do. They're walking right past City Hall, right here on Front Street. At least that's about a half dozen or so. Marching, walking towards our camera right now. This is the vantage point that we're looking at. So we can see the protesters coming down, right down the street. And the question is that we're going to continue to monitor and wait to see if they're going to allow others to do the same or if they're going to try and push them down to Poplar Avenue. That's where the police would like them to go, although Front Street is blocked off. And again, they seem to be peaceful, although boisterous. But behind them, Ron, if you can look up and go to where the red light is, there is a pretty large crowd that was up there on the bridge that perhaps our cameras could not give you a vantage point, but there are dozens upon dozens of people there sort of congregating. The question is if they're going to be allowed to come past here. And ironically and symbolically, they're coming right past City Hall, right where the mayor's office is, as he has been monitoring the situation. As you're hearing off our heads right now, the helicopter from the Tennessee Highway Patrol So there is a large number of people congregating. That's right by the Cannon Center, by the way, the convention center. And so right now the bridge is open, traffic is moving, the protesters are on the streets, they are peaceful, and certainly city and police are hoping that it remains that way. We'll continue to monitor the situation and cut back in and bring you the latest details as we get them. Reporting live here on the bridge over Front Street, right by City Hall and Greg Coy, Fox 13 News. And yes, the protesters, it seems they are all walking down Front Street right now. Chloe, Marius.
Greg, thank you. Okay, so again, to recap, so they're off of the bridge. They continue to move down Front Street, something that we've just become aware of, that, Beale Street is actually completely clear right now. It doesn't seem to be a soul, maybe, 2 or 3 people on Beale Street, and you would think there might be more people out there, during the night. But they're just not there now because of all of this.
Not right there. And I think one of the crowning moments of what we saw tonight was watching the interview that Zach did with Interim Police Director Mike Rawlings as he walked down the bridge. He was drinking water, and he seemed very proud that he took a situation that could have escalated and gone either way. And as of now, it's nonviolent. We haven't heard of any arrest. We haven't heard of any violence. And we're talking about a large group of people that had taken that bridge and completely shut it down.
Right. And, you could hear the relief in Mike Rawlings' voice. You could hear that he was relieved that the situation had been diffused, because it definitely could have gone another way. So he was relieved. He's proud. And, and again, Marius, it's a good point that you said that so many people are giving him kudos for how he handled this situation.
And let's put this in perspective. We had 200 protesters in Minnesota shut down I-94. 200 protesters.
Oh, we had far more than that here, that's
yes,
for sure.
50 people were arrested in that protest. 21 officers were hurt. There were far more than 200 protesters in Memphis today, and as of now, we haven't heard of any arrests or anyone being injured.
Right. So, certainly it really does speak volumes, for how this situation was handled. All right, Zach, Crenshaw's been on the bridge for us all night. He has been there through the thick of it. I want to go back out to him now. Zach, what's the feeling now?
Yeah, hey, Chloe, we are right off of Front Street, the intersection of Front and Poplar. You can see the police, mostly sheriff's office officers, are in riot gear, still moving the crowd back down Front Street, along the river, slowly moving them. Now, we don't know where the final destination is right now, but we do know that they are going to continue moving them back. We've seen even more SWAT-like officers in riot gear once we got down off the bridge. There's a pretty large presence on some of these side city streets. And if we actually turn around towards where the protesters are walking, you can just see even more police officers down there, even more people, and the protesters are still out here. We have heard from the protesters. I think I mentioned it earlier. One of them said, let's go off this bridge and join the hundreds that are down in the city right now. So just because this is off the bridge does not mean the police officers' work here is done yet. They are going to be out here for the rest of the night, would be my guess, until they are very sure that the city is secured. You can see them right here, continuing to move these protesters back. Memphis police officers on almost every city block. From the bridge, we had a very unique vantage point and could see blue lights just scattered throughout the city, and now they have reinforcements in the form of the sheriff's office and the state police, who are certainly prepared tactically for the crowds that are out here now. Chloe, Marius.
Thank you so much. You talk about the reinforcements. We know that Shelby County Sheriff's Office was on hand to help out MPD through this situation. We also know that Tennessee Highway Patrol, as we look at a live shot of Interim Police Director Mike Rawlings walking in right now.
All right, let's go back out to Greg Coy. Greg, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm right down on the street with the protesters. I'm at the end of the line. They have stopped for the moment. The police are lined up shoulder to shoulder. If you could see them and the protesters are starting to move in front of them. Again, the police begin their march forward as I'm looking at the commander that Zach talked about that has in his left hand a can of pepper spray, and they are walking and I guess pushing peacefully, deliberately, slowly the protesters to the other side of the bridge as I'm walking through here to the other side. If you could see me as I'm raising my hand up in the air, the police line basically in riot gear with helmets, shields, are from one end of the street to the other. I'm basically almost an arm length away. The line, I can do a quick count and tell you there's about 100 or so protesters here. They're very quiet, they're very peaceful, and right now they're trying to push them down Front Street. Marius?
Greg, thank you so much. Now, you mentioned Front Street. That's where our Jeremy Pierre is live. Jeremy, what's the scene at Front Street right now?
Well, Marius, I'm right here front in Adams, and as you can see, the Sheriff's Department, MPD, are now pushing people back Front Street, up Front Street. People are going down Front Street. Many of them I saw earlier tonight were on Monroe Avenue. Police are now pushing me, telling me I have to move as well. Now, I can take
Jeremy, we seem to be losing your microphone out there. All right, so what is going on now is the protesters have been moved off of the bridge. That was the ultimate goal, to get that bridge reopened. It is reopened now.
Yes, it is reopened now, and they're moving those protesters from the bridge onto Front Street, as Greg Coy was just telling us, that those protesters are moving, and the police are just slowly inching them down on Front Street. No one's really making a ruckus. Everyone's just doing as they're told and marching down the street. As you know, Reverend Keith Norman told us earlier, you don't want to lose the message in the violence, and a lot of these protesters are taking that they're heeding that advice and doing this peacefully.
They absolutely are. Now, you know, of course, we saw the tense situation there on the bridge for a while, and that has since dispersed. We no longer feel that tension. But this isn't over just yet, because you still do have a large crowd of people that are still, a large crowd of protesters that are still out downtown. You still have the police presence. You still have the police there in riot gear, continuing to try and move them forward, move them out of the area. So, you know, this is not over yet, but the tense situation, definitely you don't feel that out there anymore from this perspective and what we're gathering from our crews in the field.
And I think, as you said, it's not over because there's still a large group of people on the streets of Memphis at almost 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday night. So let's get it back out to Zach Crenshaw. Zach, what are you seeing where you are right now?
No, they're waiting. Yeah, Marius, we are at the corner of Adams and Front Street, and you can see the riot gear officers are spreading out. They're trying to push the protesters off of Front Street down Adams. They do not want them continuing on down Front Street. They're making it very clear. If we swing around right here, you can see exactly what is happening. This officer, who has been on the front lines, I've seen him throughout the night, is now directing people to head down Adams. And that is where the majority of people are. They are going to follow his directions, that I can assure you. And if we swing around here to Adams and Front Street, you can see the police are making it very clear where they want the protesters to go. Their numbers have swelled a little bit more now. There were fewer on the bridge, so police have a little bit more to deal with. You can see as we followed throughout the night the location of the blue crush vehicles, and there are 2 of them right here, as well as 2 shuttles. Now, we're not sure if those shuttles are just normal transit buses or are those potentially for detaining people who may be arrested. Right now, as Chloe just mentioned, though, definitely a different feeling than what was on the bridge. People standing around on their phones a lot more. It seems like the major battle, if I could use that analogy, is over. It's going to continue on throughout the night. Certainly, when you have this many people downtown, police are not just going to walk away and leave it be, but tensions have definitely de-escalated. People are out here, just continuing to make their presence felt, and police are handling it as they did on the bridge, directing people with a firm, direction, for lack of a better word, letting people know what they want them to do, but also not threatening violence like we've seen in other cities. So a great job by the Memphis Police Department, as well as the Sheriff's Office and State Police and the protesters out here, despite some provocation and, engaging with police a little bit verbally. They have done a good job of not escalating into any violence as well. So far, despite a very long standoff on that bridge, a very peaceful protest here downtown Memphis. So Chloe, Marius, I'll throw it back to you guys in the studio as I leave you with this image. The police officers here on Adams Avenue pushing them down off of Front Street down towards Adams.
Zach, got one quick question for you. Give us a perspective of how many protesters are on that street. How many protesters are those police looking at right now?
Well, I'm going to bring the photographer, Kevin Cody, who has done a fantastic job. There was a time where we weren't sure if we were going to be in the middle of being pepper sprayed, frankly. We're going to swing around, though, and show you the protesters. I would say maybe 100 right now, maybe a little bit over 100. I would say they are matched by the number of police officers. You can see some sheriff's officers up there at a vantage point. They are all around here. Memphis police interspersed with sheriff office officers. So a huge police presence as some people just begin to take pictures, kind of their final last-ditch hurrah, but definitely a dispersed crowd. And certainly I would be surprised if anything escalated in a group setting. Maybe you have one or two people if they, decide to do something, but I can't see, I think the worst is over in terms of any potential for conflict.
Zach Crenshaw, thank you so much. We will be checking back in with you. As he told us, there's been a combined effort from MPD and Shelby County Sheriff's Office to get this crowd under control, but the crowds are still out there. It is nearly 11 o'clock. It's 10:55 on a Sunday night, and the crowds are still on the streets. Jeremy Pierre is at Front Street in Adams. And Jeremy, what are you seeing from your vantage point?
Well, what I'm seeing right here is that police officers and sheriff's deputies have basically made their way from Front Street and started protecting most of the businesses here on Adams Avenue. These are officers who just about 5 minutes ago pushed me and photojournalist Chris Sanders off of Front Street, because basically the whole objective right now is to get these people out of the street, get these people off Adams Avenue, off Monroe, to get traffic flowing back again on Front Street. Now, really and truly, I've been seeing these protesters dispersed into different areas of downtown Memphis tonight. Many of them turned on from Front Street, turned onto Monroe, Madison. Many of them went back onto Bill. But the whole objective right now, again, is to clear these people off the street. The interstate has been cleared, and to get these people to wherever they have to go in a safely manner. Again, so far, even though you're seeing tactical gear right there, I haven't seen any hostility towards anyone other than when they were pushing me in the back to get me off the street. And of course, we were following their directives. And this tactical gear is really, truly, because I've been hearing it amongst the protesters, it's really terrifying, because many of them are scared now due to this tactical gear. But of course, many of them are staying calm and listening to police, because we don't want any trouble tonight. And I know for sure police and sheriff deputies don't want any trouble. Chloe, Marius? Back to you.
Jeremy, thank you. All right, so just to recap, things are dispersing. Protesters are dispersing downtown, but this is not over yet. See, you see, we've got that line right there of law enforcement to show that, hey, we are still here. We are present. We need for this to completely end in a peaceful manner, which it has been peaceful up until this point, which is wonderful, which is the goal of something like this, being able to speak your mind, get your voice out there, have your voice heard without any kind of incidents happening. But still, we've got hundreds of people who are still downtown, Marius. So, I mean, this could be a while before the streets are completely clear of protesters.
Yes, it is still an active scene out here in downtown Memphis, but it's a very different place than it was 5 hours ago.
Oh, absolutely.
Things escalated, and it seems like to be de-escalating right now. And you have to commend the job of Interim Police Director Mike Rawlings. We've seen him all over town tonight, talking to everyone, convincing people, hey, this is not the way to do it. We can sit down, we can unite as one and talk about the issues. He got down one-on-one, man-to-man with some of the leaders of this protest and said, I see where you're coming from. I know your plight. My parents marched. I'm a child of the civil rights movement, is what he told them. Let's meet tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and we're going to discuss this. There's going to be a meeting tomorrow with everyone to discuss what's going on.
There's certainly a level of, we in times like this, you have to question whether or not there is a level of trust between people and police. But there certainly was a level of trust shown tonight with Interim Director Rawlings, because he was able to keep things calm, and people certainly heeded his advice. And when he said it was time to move on, things eventually did calm down. So certainly there is some sort of level of respect and trust there.
I think that speaks volumes as well.
I would say the same thing. I mean, it really does. With the sheer number of people, and the message, and people are very passionate right now about Black Lives Matter and this movement, and so to not have any sort of violence is certainly a wonderful thing, and it is very telling of the city of Memphis.
Once again, we're still looking at live pictures of the protests downtown. And once again, you see a combined law enforcement of Shelby County Sheriffs and MPD standing off with, they're standing off against some of the protesters and marchers that took over the I-40 bridge. Right now, that bridge is completely open. It was shut down for about a good 4.5, 5 hours tonight. Some of those people that were traveling that main thoroughfare had no place to go.
Right, look, that's video from before when we had the massive amount of people on that bridge surrounding cars. Cars could not move, semis were stuck there. People were literally sitting on the bridge, unable to move for hours. Fortunately, that is now over and the bridge has reopened.